the forgotten outskirts of a crumbling village, where time itself seemed to hesitate, there stood an ancient Haveli abandoned for over a century. The villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, warning travelers never to wander near it after sunset. Its walls were cracked like old bones, and its windows stared blankly into the world, as if hiding secrets too dreadful to reveal. Long ago, the Haveli belonged to a wealthy landlord known for his cruelty, a man whose greed and dark practices invited something far worse than human suffering. One stormy night in the late 1800s, the landlord performed a forbidden ritual deep within the Haveli, seeking immortality. Witnesses claimed strange lights flickered through the halls, and unnatural screams echoed across the fields. By morning, the landlord and his entire household had vanished without a trace. No bodies were ever found, only the lingering smell of decay and a silence so heavy it suffocated those who dared to enter. From that day forward, the Haveli was cursed. Decades passed, and the story faded into folklore, until a young historian named Arman arrived, determined to uncover the truth. Armed with nothing but his journal and a lantern, he stepped into the Haveli one cold evening. The air inside was thick and stale, carrying whispers that seemed almost alive. As he explored deeper, he noticed something unsettling. The walls were covered in faded symbols, drawn in what looked disturbingly like dried blood. As midnight approached, Arman began hearing faint footsteps behind him. At first, he dismissed them as echoes of his own movement, but soon the sound grew heavier, deliberate, and impossibly close. He turned sharply, but the corridor behind him stretched empty into darkness. Then came the whisper, low, raspy, and calling his name. Panic crept into his chest as the lantern flickered violently, threatening to leave him in complete darkness. Desperate, Arman tried to retrace his steps, but the Haveli had changed. Hallways twisted into unfamiliar paths. Doors appeared where none existed before, and the exit had vanished entirely. The whispers grew louder, overlapping into a chorus of voices filled with anguish and rage. He realized then that the Haveli was not abandoned. It was alive, feeding on those who entered. In a final attempt to escape, Arman stumbled into a hidden chamber beneath the house. There, at the center, lay a blackened circle etched into the floor, the very place where the landlord had performed his ritual. But he was not alone. A shadow, darker than the absence of light itself, began to rise from the circle. It had no face, no form, yet it radiated an ancient hunger. The voices suddenly fell silent, replaced by a suffocating stillness. The shadow spoke without sound, its presence pressing directly into Arman's mind. It revealed the truth. The landlord had succeeded, but not in the way he intended. He had opened a gateway that bound countless souls, including his own, to an entity that thrived on fear and despair. Anyone who entered the Haveli became part of its eternal prison. Arman tried to scream, but no sound escaped. The lantern shattered, plunging the chamber into darkness. The next morning, villagers passing by noticed the Haveli's windows glowing faintly, as though something inside had awakened once more. Arman was never seen again, but sometimes on stormy nights, a new voice can be heard among the whispers, desperate, pleading, and forever trapped within the cursed walls.